It's strange how Studio Series and the Rise of the Beasts core range, as in the mainline figures, have handled Airazor and Cheetor. Studio Series Airazor basically reused the Kingdom design, whereas the Rise of the Beasts Deluxe more or less did its own thing. On top of being different size classes, Cheetor's Rise of the Beast Deluxe borrows design elements from the Kingdom mold, while Studio Series SS-98 Cheetor is new from the outset. Like his fellow Maximals from the film, this Cheetor's cheetah mode is techno-organic. There are a lot of mechanical details, from panel and tech lining to exposed robotics, like those within the shoulders, and what looks like a chained tail. Yet there are some sculpted fur patches, complete with the appropriate greebling, mid-torso, and at the back of his forelegs, to the point where even the outlines aren't smooth. Like Kingdom Cheetor, the head is proportioned like a real cheetah, short snout, rounded head and ears, and he bears the appropriate facial lines. Then there's the deco. Instead of the yellow and blue color scheme you'd normally associate with the name Cheetor, Rise of the Beasts Maximals opt for a blend of jungle and metallic palettes. Airazor had the tan, brass, silver and green. Meanwhile, this big cat is primarily bronze or copper, with green eyes and varying greys. Some of the grey is the plastic color, while the rest is either matte or metallic paint. The shade they used for the spots doesn't contrast great against the main color. Movie accurate or not, black spots might have worked a bit better. The Voyager size class is more appropriate for Cheetor than you might think, considering the shot of him and Bumblebee speeding side by side. The Maximals beast modes aren't the size of the creatures they're based on, hence a cheetah towering over a Camaro. For articulation, the head is ball-jointed, though it has the motion of a swivel. There's also the functioning jaw. With the forelegs, the elbows are hinged, the paws hinge and swivel horizontally, as do the shoulders, but they're on joints within the shoulder pad. The shoulder pads themselves are locked, so posers end up looking stiff and awkward. With the rear legs, the hips are universal, while the knees and joints that make up the digitigrade stance are hinges. You also have ankle tilts. Lastly, the tail is on a double hinge. The slots on Cheetor's back are intended for his spear half accessories. They peg him pretty solidly. More on them later. My only problem with this mode is that the robot hands aren't exactly hidden, are they? The robot feet fare better, since the toes fold up against the back of his leg. In broad strokes, Studio Series Cheetor's transformation is very Beast Machines-esque, as in stand him upright and switch heads, though the limbs convert a little too. In particular, the rear legs become more humanoid. Not the most complex or interesting conversion, but considering how fiddly some of the live-action movie toys can be, there's something to be said for how spot-on smooth Cheetor is. Also refreshing, the tail doesn't detach into some lame whip weapon. Mind you, given its chain-like appearance, it would probably look somewhat more convincing than, say, Kingdom Tigertrons. The Studio Series Rise of the Beasts Maximals appear to be based more on concept art. In the film, most shots with them in robot mode are blink-and-you'll-miss moments anyway. But there's more to a toy than accuracy. If you're new to Transformers, how'd you find this video? But also, fans use the term kibble in reference to parts of one mode that hang off the other, whether it adds to the look or not. This is one of the sleekest, cleanest Cheetor figures in recent years. At worst, the tail sits flush behind him, as opposed to the art where it's embedded in his back. Design-wise, the big spotted pecs are not unlike his Beast-era namesake's Transmetal and Beast Machines forms from the cartoons. More robotic features are revealed, like the detailing on his shoulders and abs, plus those kneecaps. The metallic grey paint seems intentionally scratched in parts for a worn effect. The head sports a crest, not unlike previous Cheetors. However, instead of a gentle, friendly expression, we get what is presumably a mouthplate or battle mask, which combined with the scraped paint, reflects this Cheetor's status as a more experienced warrior. Also, the paws on his knuckles reference the art's attack claws. Cheetor's posability here is quite the leap from beast mode. With those pads freed, his shoulders can not only hinge upwards, but he gains a second swivel. The shoulder pads move independently too. His head is ball-jointed. Lifting the butt flap allows for both full waist rotation and access to a display stand port. It's also why I'm glad the tail doesn't peg anywhere. His legs lose one of the digitigrade joints, but he now has a proper 90-degree knee bend. The hips and ankles function more or less the same. Back to the accessories. This Cheetor is armed with two multi-bladed spears, which he can wield separately, as well as combine into a fairly impressive staff. You pretty much have to connect them by sliding the halves through each side of the hand. The gap between his thumb and fingers is too small to have the staff simply pop into the hand. Also, those slots on his back are still accessible for storage. When the promo shot surfaced, I wasn't sold on this guy. Maybe it was the bland colour scheme or fairly predictable looking transformation, he just wasn't doing much for me. Over time though, I've grown to appreciate the fluidness of the toy, along with the minor characterful touches. Plus, it's a good example of homaging, while also throwing a new spin on a namesake within the franchise. I don't know if I'd give Studio Series Cheetor a gold, due to some small issues like the hindered beast articulation, but damn if he isn't close. So, that's 2 Studio Series Maximals down, more to go.